Hello, and welcome to another session on using Blender for video editing. Last time we talked about animation. We got an introduction to how you would go about animating properties in Blender. And we're going to build off of that today. We're going to show you how you can basically emulate the gamma cross and what we saw before with using that same cross effect to do a fade to black. So let's get started. Here I've got a few strips here. The bottom one is it's hidden, so we can ignore that. So what we really have is one video strip and then this other video strip on top. We're going to start by just doing a gamma cross between the two so we can recall what it is we're trying to emulate. So I'll stop that. And to do that normally, we just select the first one, hold down on Shift, select the second one using right mouse button, and then go to Add, Effect Strip, Gamma Cross. So if we play this, we'll notice a few things. So first, the Gamma Cross is working like we expect, but you'll see that the text strip that we have here sandwiched in between disappears completely, because what happens with Blender when you create a transition effect strip like we just did, it really only allows for those two things to be shown, and we can sort of get around that by animating the properties ourselves. Okay, I'll stop that now and delete the gamma cross, and we'll start by selecting the first strip. And what we'll do is we'll scroll up here to opacity. And I should point out right now that this isn't going to be exactly the same as a gamma cross, but it comes pretty close. So what we're going to start doing is we will press the page up key to jump to the start point of this strip. This is where we're going to set a keyframe. Opacity is already 100% for everything that we've brought in. I'll just press the letter I, and like we saw in the previous video, now this field is colored yellow to show us that we have a keyframe here. We've got something added over here to the graph editor, which we'll discuss in a later video. And then continuing with this first video strip, now we're going to press the page up key again, and this jumps us to the end of this strip. Now we're going to click here. You can notice the value is green. That means that this field has keyframes set, but right now there is no keyframe at this particular point. What I'm going to do is change that value to 0. That drops the opacity all the way down. And then press the I key. And there we go. So now we have 2 keyframes set for this first video. And when I scrub back and forth, you'll see that that value is being animated from 1 down to 0. And now we do the same thing for the second video strip, except in reverse. So this time I'll push page down to go back to the start of this strip, and I'll start this opacity at 0. Press 0, and I can press the I key, or I can right click here and say insert keyframe. It's the same thing. So there we go, now it's turned yellow. And now I'll press page up to jump to the end of that strip. So that's where we need it to be fully 100%. So now I'll press 1, enter, and I'll just go press I now to add that keyframe. And that's pretty much it. So if I jump over here now and press the play button, we should see that it does more or less the same thing as a gamma cross. Except you'll see that we still get that text effect strip included there, because Blender is just putting everything together instead of showing us just that gamma cross that appeared when we added that effect, and it covers up everything else. So there you have it. That's basically how you can do a gamma cross. And we can take this same learning to do a fade to black. What we're going to do, I'm going to start by showing how we have done it before, really quickly, which was adding a color strip, a black color strip, and then press the G key to position it over here. And what we had done before is we just take that strip, the last strip you want to see before the fade to black, and then again select the next strip, and then we go to Add, Effect, Gamma Cross. So if I scrub across, you'll see that it eventually fades to black. So we can do again the same thing by animating the opacity of the color strip. So let me get rid of this Gamma Cross. And I will press the page down to jump to that starting point. Right click to select. Set the opacity to 0 and press I to assign the keyframe there. Now I'm just going to jump to the end of our range here. Give that a full 1 I to set the keyframe. And now you can see we've got pretty much the same thing. So just by adjusting the opacity of this color strip, we get our fade to black. And actually there's one more way of doing that. Instead of having a color strip at all, we could just take the opacity of our last video strip and take that down to 0, because when you render out your video, if anything is not fully showing, then Blender will display that as black. So let me get rid of this color strip. And let's say we wanted to start the fade out right over here. So I'll right click to select here. I will add a keyframe right at this point, pressing I. And then again, jump to the end, and I will set that to 0 now. And then press I. And now, as we've seen before, now we have this checkerboard effect, which is Blender's way of telling us that right now there's nothing that's going to get displayed, which translates to a black screen when we render out. So if I scrub across, you'll see that that slowly turns to, well, the checkerboard effect, which will be black. And I can prove that really quickly. Let me just give a second here to do that. I'll switch this over to Properties so that I can set this out to, I can render this out. MBag H, okay. Hit the animation button. And while that's rendering, let me just go over there to C, temp out. And there's that example, and I'll put it now. And there it was. I mean, it was very fast, but that's the fade to black. So there you have it, doing gamma cross, doing fade to black, using keyframing. Okay, so that's it for now, and we'll do more in the next session. Thanks. And if you like this, please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.